All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for this week's Breakout Watchlist. In this video, I'll cover 10 stocks that have breakout potential in the upcoming week. This video is sponsored by MarketSmith, which is the trading research platform that we're going to be using to break down each stock's fundamentals, group strength, fund ownership, and other trading statistics. If you guys like the platform and want to give it a try yourself, there's a link in the description below that you guys can try it out for 3 weeks just for $20. Before we start going over charts, quick disclaimer. This is not financial or stock advice. This is just for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before trading. Trading comes with financial risk. Finally, if any of these stocks end up on your watch list for the upcoming week, please leave me a like and subscribe to the channel. I do this breakout watch list every Sunday morning and then go live on either Tuesday or Wednesday night, depending on how the week's playing out. If you guys have any stocks that I didn't cover in this video, but you think have breakout potential, leave them in the comments below. The first stock that we'll cover today is AMD. That's in the semiconductor group, which is 74th strongest out of 197. But if you look back at just the last 2 weeks in the market, semiconductor stocks were the leadership group, getting a lot of the money as they trended higher, and a couple of the stocks made new all-time highs. So a couple of the stocks that we're covering today are in the semiconductor group. We want to focus on the strongest stocks in the strongest group to increase our trade probabilities. It's got an earnings per share rating of 99, an accumulation distribution rating of A-, meaning a lot of the heavy volume days have come on up days versus down days. People are accumulating the stock. It's got a 96 overall composite rating, which is nice, and an individual relative strength rating of 88. Ideally, that's in the 90s, but 88 is not too far away. A couple other things. Within that group of 30 stocks, it's number 1 on earnings per share, number 6 on relative strength, 9th on accumulation distribution, and 5th overall on composite rating. It's got very strong fundamentals. Earnings per share over the last 4 quarters, year over year, over the last 4 quarters were 190, plus 250, plus 78, and plus 77. Sales were improving 93, 99, 54, and 50%. And after-tax profit margin improving 19, 20, 21, and 23%. Last thing we want to check is fund ownership. Is big money coming into this name? And you can see from December 2020, we had 2611, and now we have 3123. So institutions are taking positions in the stock, and the number of institutions starting positions is increasing, which is a good sign. Looking at the chart here, we did break over the 8, the 21 EMAs last week or 2 weeks ago, and then eventually pushed through the 200-day, which is this black line, and then the 50-day, which is the red line. Ideally, we see some market weakness on Monday or Tuesday, have this pull back into this 115, 116 area, and then you have all 4 key moving averages, the 8, the 21, the 50, and the 200-day as potential support, along with a round number of 115. That's where I would want to start a position because outside of everything that we've covered, strong group, strong stock, fundamentals, fund ownership, all of that good stuff, we also have key areas of support. So we're increasing the probability that this is going to be a winning trade. That's AMD. The next stock we have is Boyd Gaming, BYD. This is in leisure gaming and equipment. It's the 115th strongest group out of 197. So that itself is not an edge. That's a C group strength rating. We're looking for ideally A+, but A's and B+. It's got a C- accumulation distribution, not as strong there, but overall composite rating 88 and relative strength rating 85. Taking a look at the fundamentals, we had earnings per share up over 1,000%, plus 257, plus 242, and then plus 193 year over year. Sales are up 11, 326, 29, and then 38%. And then it did not share the after-tax profit margin there. Within the group of 32 stocks, again, weaker group, but within the group of 32 stocks, it's 5th on earnings per share and relative strength, and 5th also on overall composite rating. Checking the fund ownership, we did see a decline from September to December of 2021, from 607 to 573. We'll see if that is a trend going forward, but that is also kind of working against us here. But this is much more of a technical kind of setup, a really, really beautiful base here. It's been basing out, kind of peaked on April 28th of 2021. Since then, we kind of put in this cup with handle. That failed, shook out the lows here. So one thing that I like is when we pulled back in in January, we took out the lows from December. So anyone who got in on this pullback got shaken out with this move here. So it cleared the deck. We moved straight up into 72, and then similar action. We had a pullback, a shakeout under that low, and then we started building higher low, and really tightening up along that rising 8-day EMA. We got the 21 underneath, and we have a nice pivot right at 70 to work with. So a break over 70 is going to be a potential entry point for BYD Boyd Gaming. Next, we have an IPO, CWAN. This is Clearwater Analytics. This is in the financial specialty group, so 71st strongest group out of 197. B group strength, we have a B accumulation distribution, 56 overall composite rating, and a 38 individual relative strength rating. MarketSmith, with the relative strength ratings of IPOs, it's very hit or miss. There's very little data to be working with, so kind of take that with a grain of salt. Let's check within the group of 61 stocks. It's 33rd on that relative strength, 37th on composite. Fund ownership, we only have 2 quarters to work with, and we did actually see a decline from 118 to 81. As you know, that does not include March data. This is just December 2021. We should get March data in a couple weeks here. But checking the fundamentals, we had negative earnings per share, then minus 75% year over year, minus 33, but then plus 700 in the most recent quarter year over year. Sales went plus 31, plus 17, plus 21, and plus 27. And after-tax profit margin improving from minus 0.3 to plus 6%, plus 13.5, and plus 20%. Taking a look at the technicals, this did put in its IPO base here. Low of the day, or all-time low was 1451. We put in a higher low here at 1641. And then we shot above all the key moving averages, the 50, the 21, and the 8, as the market rebounded 2 weeks ago. Since then, we've kind of just traded sideways, and then we have this nice pivot with 22 to work with. The high of the day here was 21.99, so we haven't attempted to break over 22. So when we do break over 22, there is just a little bit of resistance or overhead supply, not much, especially since this is an IPO. So looking for an entry over 22. If we continue to tighten up through the first half of next week, that improves the trade odds, allow that 21 EMA to catch up a little bit there. So this is CWAN. We talked about semiconductors being a very strong group. The other group outside of oil and gas that has been performing well has been shipping stocks. So this is GOGL, not Google, Golden Ocean, GOGL. It's got a group strength rating of A+, 15th out of 197 there. B- accumulation distribution, 97 overall composite, and 97 relative strength individually. Taking a look within that group of, again, very, very strong stocks. This is the 6th strongest out of 28 of them, and 16th on an overall composite basis. Taking a look at the fundamentals, we had earnings per share up 113, 278 or 279, 259, and 461. That's incredible growth for the earnings. Sales were up 15%, 137, 109, and 126 year over year. And after-tax profit margins, incredible here, improving 15%, then 38%, then 50%, and 53%. Taking a look at fund ownership, is that increasing? December 2020, we had 110. Now we're at 168. Had a little decline from September to December, but we did see some good volume after December in this move up. So potentially we'll see this number increase in March as well. So what I like about this is we're starting to build just above 12 here. We have the 21 EMA catching up, the 8-day kind of riding the price higher, and we're starting to see the volatility decline a little bit. We saw a lot of shaky move through here, but the last week or so, 5 trading days, it started tightening up here, and we're outside of Tuesday of last week, we closed near the high of the day or in the upper half of each of those trading days. I'm looking for a break over Friday's high, 1220, as a potential entry point for GOGL. Next, we have the stock IoT. It is an IPO in computer networking, which is the 50th strongest group out of 197. It's got a B+ group strength rating, C- accumulation distribution, 26 composite, and 16 relative strength. Again, we talked about IPOs, a little bit harder to judge the relative strength because there's just so little data on them. Within the group, it's 15th on relative strength out of 17, 9th on accumulation distribution, and 13 out of 17 on an overall composite rating. Fund ownership, we only have 1 quarter to work with. We have 132 funds in the stock. And fundamentally, not very strong. We have negative earnings per share. Sales have been improving, 72%, 78, 72, and 66. But the after-tax profit margin has been kind of a disaster here. Need to work on profitability to get that edge working. But what I like here is the low point has been 1251. So if you look back at IPOs, you want respect for round numbers like 10, 1250, 15, 1750, 20, stuff like that. So the fact that the low got supported at 1251 shows some institutional demand in the stock and support there. So 1251 didn't break under 1250. That's a good sign. We push higher, and then we're just starting to tighten up between the rising 21 and the 8-day EMA and the declining 50-day moving average. This would be a great stock to just trade sideways or down next week, and then the following week it improves the odds with that 50-day moving average coming down and kind of creating an overhead resistance along with our previous high on Thursday of 1808 as a potential entry point. But otherwise, just a break over 1808, that high from Thursday is where I'm going to be looking to take the stock. Or if we pull back into that 8 and 21 EMA with the market weak, so not just the stock acting weak, but the market's very weak, say Monday or Tuesday, and the stock is just gently coming back on low volume to the 8 and 21, then a potential buying against those moving averages, keeping our stop loss a little bit tighter. That's IOT. Next, we have Kroger, KR. This is in retail mini markets. 22nd strongest group out of 197. So that's an A group strength rating. Has a B plus accumulation distribution, 93 composite, 96 individual relative strength. Within the group of 13 stocks is number 3 on relative strength, 4th on accumulation distribution, and 5th on overall composite rating. So that's pretty solid there. Fund ownership has been declining from June of 2021. We went 2102 to 2038, but then we, on this earnings where we had earnings per share jump 12%, sales jump 8%, and after tax profit margin up 2%, we had this huge volume breakout, continued for 3 days, then reversed on the 7th of March. And from there, this is flagged out really well, closing only once under the rising 8-day EMA here. And it's just starting to continuing to tighten up. I would look for a break over 57.35 as a potential entry point, or if we do kind of flush on market weakness going into the week, want to see how it reacts to 55 coming back and that 21-day EMA catching up there for Kroger KR. Next, we have another semiconductor name, NVDA. The volume last week on the moves were massive. It wasn't just me and you buying. This was absolutely institutional buying. So that's what would put it on the radar. Then we had a bunch of other stocks in the same group also taking off. We had GFS, AOSL, and that really put semiconductors as that potential leadership group. True market leader of 2021, really one of the more liquid names that were holding up well in a pretty choppy 2021. So semiconductor, 74th out of 197. That's a B group strength rating, but like I said, the last 2 weeks have really changed that perspective. It's right up there with shipping and oil and gas for me now. Composite rating, 97. Accumulation distribution, we're talking big volume up days, so makes sense that that is graded as an A. Individual relative strength, 95 there. Within that group of 30 stocks, we're 3rd on earnings per share, relative strength, number 5 on accumulation distribution, and number 3 on overall composite basis. Fund ownership has been increasing from 41.18 in 2020 to 50.78 this December. So we had a great move on this on Thursday. Really nice consolidation on Friday, down 1.6%. That is not bad after Thursday's 9.8% move on 87 million shares traded. That's massive. What I would like to see is pulling back to this 8-day EMA, kind of like what we had on Tuesday and Wednesday, pulling in low of the day on Wednesday, aligned right with that 8-day EMA, and then we pushed out again. So I want to be a little bit patient. This is extended. We moved from 214 up to 280 area, which is a great move, shows institutional demand, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We want to have good risk reward on our trades, so be a little bit patient. Either allow it to chop sideways allow either it chops sideways and the 8-day EMA catches up, or we pull back to that 8-day EMA. Either way, be a little bit patient at the beginning of next week. We want to make sure we have good risk reward on the trade for NVDA. Sticking with semiconductors, we have ON. This is in slightly a different group, but it's 61st out of 197, still a semiconductor manufacturer. It's got a B plus group strength rating, B plus accumulation distribution, 96 overall composite rating, and an individual relative strength rating of 94. Within the group of 44 stocks, it's 3rd on relative strength, 7th on accumulation distribution, and number 1 overall composite. Great. Earnings per share were up 250, 425, 222, and then 211 year over year for the last 4 quarters. Sales were up 16, 38, 32, and 28. And after-tax profit margins, we do not have that information. Taking a look at fund ownership, that has been blasting higher. December of 2020, it was at 1110, and now it's at 1529. So in 1 year, it jumped about 50% there. Similar to NVIDIA, I would love to see this kind of pull back, allow that 8-day and the 21-day EMA to catch up. But if we do pull back, we have the 8, the 21, and the 50-day moving average, along with a nice round number of 60 as potential support. This is in a leading group. It's the leading stock in that group. So any kind of pullback on general market weakness would be a good sign to buy against the 50-day moving average and $60 here. Otherwise, we could just buy with a break over this pivot. So kind of pull in on Monday and then break over Friday's high, 63.80 area for ON Semiconductor. Next, we have Solar Edge Technologies, SEDG. This is an energy solar, 84th strongest group out of 197. Group strength, B-, accumulation distribution, B+, composite rating, 93, individual relative strength rating, 91, both in the 90s, good sign. In that group of 19 stocks, it's second on relative strength, 8th on accumulation distribution, and second overall composite basis. Fund ownership on this has been drastically increasing from 1064 last December 2020 to 1469 December of 2021. I want to jump to a weekly chart on this. It's easier to see the cup and handle, and now we put in that little pivot area. So going back to the daily chart, you can see we got the rising 8-day EMA, the 21 underneath here. If we can take out Wednesday's high, which would be 340, that's a potential entry point. Or if we pull back into 325, that's where the 8-day EMA is. We can manage our risk there for SEDG. Earnings were plus 3, plus 32, plus 20, plus 12. Sales minus 6 to plus 45, plus 56, plus 54. And after-tax profit margins improving 14, 15, 15, and 11. So again, on market strength, breaking over 340. On market weakness, pulling back into 325 area for SEDG. And the last stock that we'll talk about today is Tesla, TSLA. It's an auto manufacturer, 93rd out of 197. So B- group strength, B+ accumulation distribution, 96 overall composite rating, 94 individual relative strength. Within the group of 32 stocks, it's number 1 on earnings per share, relative strength, 4th on accumulation distribution, and number 1 overall composite. Fund ownership has also been steadily increasing from $23.99 in December of 2020 to $33.67 this December. Tesla, similar to NVIDIA, large liquid leader, was one of the leaders of 2021 along with 2020. And when the market started turning around, this actually put in a higher low after the previous low on February 24th. You saw QQQs actually putting in a lower low on this day here. And then we just blast off from 750 through 1,000. I think we peaked around 1040 here on massive volume. We have 4 days above the 50-day average volume. That's not just me and you buying. That's not just a short covering. That's institutions taking positions. You don't see that type of volume often, especially breaking through the 8, the 21, then the 200-day, then the 50-day clean the next day. And now we've had a double inside candle. So on Thursday, we had an inside candle. And on Friday, we had another inside candle. Both closes above 1,000. Great signal for the market and for Tesla individually. So we might see just a quick kind of pullback under 1,000 to that 8-day EMA to kind of shake out the weaker hands in this move, especially if the market opens weak on Monday or Tuesday. Just a quick shakeout wouldn't be the worst thing because, again, we went from 750 to 1,000. That's a 33% jump right there. A little bit of digestion would be completely fine, but this double inside candle, if we take out the high from Friday, which would be 121.80, that's a potential entry point, and then manage your stop either under 1,000 and not just 999.99 cents. Give it a little bit of room. Ideally, we just chop sideways a little bit, allow that 8-day EMA to catch up. Just provide another layer of support against the 1,000. Nice round number to work with. So that's Tesla. Definitely showing institutional demand along with NVIDIA this past week. That's gonna be the breakout watch list for the upcoming week. If you guys enjoyed the video, please do me a favor and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Make this breakout watch list every Sunday and then go live on Tuesday or Wednesday depending on the week. A big thanks to MarketSmith for sponsoring this video. If you guys enjoyed that trading platform, there's a link in the description below. You guys could test it out for 3 weeks for just $20. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday night for another trading live stream.